Part 1. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Ken Ru Xiahua. Chapter 1. Author, Life is as bright as summer flowers. Introduction. Reborn in the 2008 high school graduation season, Li Yuan returned to the moment when he confessed to the school beauty, Bai Wuxi, "Thank you, it's an honor to be liked by you, but I don't want to fall in love yet." Li Yuan took back the gift directly. "Gift? Then return the gift I gave you." Bai Wuxi stared at her beautiful eyes with an unbelievable expression. "Li Yuan, what do you mean? You have already rejected me, and you still want to accept my gift? But we are good friends." Chapter 1. Confession failed? It doesn't matter, I'm reborn. In June, the hot summer wind blew in this small town in North China. On the green grass beside the lake in Thousand Buddha Pagoda Park, a circle of paper cranes folded with colored paper is carefully placed to form a heart shape. Inside the heart-shaped circle, a girl wearing a white floral dress, her small and exquisite jade feet are as delicate as glass, there are beads of sweat hanging on her nose, and her smooth jade forehead has several wrinkles formed due to anger. "Li Yuan, thank you. It's an honor to be liked by you, but I don't want to fall in love yet. I have always regarded you as my biological brother. Thank you for taking care of me during the 3 years of high school. We are still best friends, aren't we?" Li Yuan raised his head in confusion and looked at the young and beautiful girl in front of him, holding a bouquet of flowers. He was a little familiar, but also a little confused. This scene seemed familiar. White skirt, holding flowers in hands, in early summer that year. Seeing that Li Yuan remained silent, the girl in the white dress pursed her lips, glanced at the platinum earrings among the roses, and opened her teeth slightly. "Li Yuan, if you don't say anything, I'll take it as your promise. Thank you for the gift, I like it very much. Then I'm leaving." The girl in the white dress glanced at Li Yuan, who looked lost, gritted her teeth, stepped out of the heart-shaped circle, her long black shawl hair fluttering in the wind, her slender figure pulled out of her reflection, and was about to leave. Li Yuan looked dazed, and pictures emerged in his mind. During the freshman year of high school, when they first met on the playground during military training, he was astonished and fell in love with her at first sight. Every time he went to school, he silently looked at her in the back seat. He felt that he had met the true love of his life. During his sophomore year in high school, when arts and science classes were separated, he gave up his hobbies and chose to study science classes with her, just so that they would not be so far apart and be able to see her every day. "In the rental house, I get up at 5 o'clock every morning just to make her a loving breakfast, and do my best to help her with her homework and improve her grades." He cared for her like a flower. For her, he rejected all ambiguities and only protected her. And her response? "Li Yuan, I don't want to fall in love in high school. I just want to get into a good university. There are many courses for freshmen, and our campuses are so far apart, so you don't have to come to me every day. Thank you for the birthday gift you gave me. I like it very much, but I don't want you to work such a hard part-time job and make your life so tiring. Li Yuan, give me some more time, don't force me. I'm sorry, Li Yuan. He is my boyfriend. He has delayed you for so long. If you hate me, there is nothing I can do about it." Talking about how a high-ranking green tea man fascinated a boy with both good morals and academics, and kept him in a fish pond for 7 years. This is probably what he looked like. Well, it was a previous life. Li Yuan stared at Bai Wuxi, who was about to leave, with complicated eyes. The Jianjia is luxuriant, and the white dew is still blooming. What a beautiful and nice name, but what it does is not human affairs. If we talk about the misery index of dog licking, he should be ranked high in his previous life. Unfortunately, Bai Wuxi's green tea rank is higher than his. As soon as she appeared, she stunned the whole summer, and also lost a great young man. If he hadn't seen her getting out of a BMW one day during his internship in his senior year, holding hands with an ordinary-looking boy, he would still be an ignorant and stupid fish. Just like the warrior who charges for love, what he reaps is bruises all over his body, which vividly explains what it is, licking the dog until there is nothing left. From then on, he drank to relieve his sorrows for a long time, failed several subjects, and almost failed to get his diploma. Today, he was reborn. In early summer when I turned 18, it was the third day after the college entrance examination. Li Yuan looked at the rose and the gift in Bai Wuxi's hand, which were platinum earrings he bought from Lao Fengxiang Jewelry with a month's living expenses. A full 1,000 yuan. It was 1,000 yuan in 2008. Bai Wuxi, wait a moment. The girl in the white dress turned around, a hint of surprise flashing through her charming eyes. Li Yuan, what's wrong? Li Yuan stared at the roses and gift box in her arms. Give me back the gift. After saying that, without waiting for her reaction, he reached out and grabbed the flowers and gifts. Bai Wuxi's eyes widened with an expression of disbelief. Li Yuan, what do you mean? Li Yuan had an expressionless, cold look on his face as he stuffed the earring gift box into his pocket. You have already rejected me and you still want to accept my gift. But, you have already given it to me. I would only give it to my girlfriend. Bai Wuxi smoothed her hair, with a look of tears in her beautiful eyes. Li Yuan, actually I still have a crush on you, but didn't we agree to wait until college to try to get along with each other? I don't have that lover's feeling for you now, so don't force me. That's it again. When he confessed, she always had countless reasonable reasons, and pretended to be pitiful. With her school beauty, who could resist? Li Yuan sighed in his heart. Bai Wuxi's green tea level was too high. He couldn't control it in his previous life. He was like a licking dog, and was swayed to death. But now he has been struggling in society for many years, and his heart has long been sealed with cement. Thinking of the teachings of his idol Jiangnan's #1 deep love scumbag master. When your emotions are controlled by a woman, don't hesitate, delete her. Li Yuan was too lazy to say a word of nonsense. In his previous life, he had been hurt by the so-called love. In this life, he wants to be the scumbag master. Turn around and leave directly. Bai Wuxi saw Li Yuan leave with a cold expression. For a moment, she felt a little lost in her heart, and crystal tears overflowed from the corners of her eyes. Auntie, this flower is for you, she casually gave the rose to the cleaning lady in the park. Li Yuan walked aimlessly in Kinfo Pagoda Park. It was only 2008, and there were no high-rise buildings around. The time was clearly written on the building signs in the park. June 10, 2008. He was really reborn. Li Yuan felt a mess in his brain. Although he lived a cowardly life and had financial difficulties in his previous life, he also had a decent job. Why did he suddenly reborn? Is it really based on appearance? Forget it, no matter why I was reborn, I can start my life again. This is my biggest opportunity. I can make up for what I missed, regretted, and reluctant to give up before. Li Yuan sat on a piece of bluestone by the lake and began to sort out his thoughts, thinking about his previous life. His high school grades were pretty good, and he scored 603 points in the college entrance examination. He went to an ordinary key university in Shanghai, but it was not a 985/211 university, and his major was not very good. The four major pits: bioengineering in biochemistry, environmental materials. When he took the college entrance examination, there was no Duyan, no Zhang Suifeng, and his parents were just ordinary farmers. One graduated from elementary school, and the other graduated from junior high school. There were no dignitaries among his relatives and friends, so naturally no one guided him. When filling in the major, I believed what the biology class teacher said: the 21st century is the century of biology. Just go further and further on this road of no return. Women are afraid of marrying the wrong man, and men are afraid of entering the wrong industry. And the major you study is the stepping stone to enter the industry. When you go to university, it is very difficult to change your major. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Ken Ryu Siahua. Chapter 2. Not only are the wages low, there is no room for advancement. This is his expertise. In order to gain a foothold in the magical city, he worked early and late, worked during the day, and worked part-time as a programmer at night. After 4 or 5 years of hard work, his savings went from being unable to afford a toilet to being unable to even afford a toilet. Hard work is not worth the soaring housing prices. Frustrated, he thought it would be better to resign, go back to his hometown, and take the civil service exam. The provincial examination in the Central Plains region in 2016 was not too difficult. Even though he could only apply for 3 unrestricted positions, with a ratio of about 1 to 100, he successfully passed the examination after putting in a lot of effort. However, the salary is very low, life is difficult, there is no hope of promotion, and you will grow old at a glance. Seeing others going smoothly and getting promoted step by step, he could only become increasingly depressed and self-isolate, and ended up with evaluations such as low emotional intelligence, autistic, never going out, and incapable of getting into trouble. Is it really wrong for him not to want to develop so-called relationships? Thinking of all the misfortunes in his previous life, Li Yuan understood the cause of the problem at a glance. Describe it in one word. No money, no power, no talent. Money is the first priority in his heart. Now that he is reborn, his first task is to make money. Make money. Make money. Say important things 3 times. When it comes to love, as long as you have money, you don't know how proactive girls are. How to make money. He comes from a farmer's family. When he was in the 2nd grade of elementary school, his parents went out to work in the Northeast and started a small business. As a child raised by his grandparents, Li Yuan had no shortage of pocket money. His parents would always give him more money on time, so in high school, he dressed like a dog. For his poor self-esteem, a pair of basketball shoes cost 200 to 300. In order to be a licking dog, he spent a lot of money on biweekly during the 3 years of high school. There are not many, but there are tens of thousands of children and 8,000. Li Yuan took out the gift box from his pocket and opened it. It was a beautiful platinum earring. There were bills and other items in the gift box. Should we be able to withdraw? Li Yuan murmured to himself. Laofengxiang Jewelry Store, located on Zhouyuan West Road north of Thousand Buddha Pagoda Park, is an old brand in the county. Its business has always been very good and its reputation is also good. Li Yuan placed the gift box in front of the salesperson and said directly, "Miss, can I return this pair of earrings?" Most of the jewelry salespeople are women in their 20s, with pretty good looks. Hearing Li Yuan call little sister, the salesperson was a little surprised and carefully checked the earrings. There were no signs of damage or use. Although she could return or exchange it unconditionally within 7 days, she still asked. "I just bought it yesterday, why would I want to return it today? If you don't like the style, you can still exchange it?" Li Yuan shook his head, not feeling embarrassed, and said it openly, "The confession failed, the gift was not given away, and it is no longer needed, so just return it." The saleslady was a little surprised and couldn't help but take another look at Li Yuan, who was well dressed today. He was 1.8 meters tall, had a strong, handsome, and fair face, and was dressed in a fashionable style, wearing a sports brand. With this kind of appearance, you can't even give him a gift? She couldn't believe it. "Little handsome boy, don't be discouraged. If you lose this tree, there is still a large forest waiting for you behind." Li Yuan laughed, "I can't even control a tree, How can I own a large forest? The saleswoman was stunned. After collecting 1,000 yuan in cash, Li Yuan left gracefully. Please collect the new book and read it. Comments in the comment area are welcome. Chapter 2: How to make the first pot of gold after rebirth. Those who are greedy for money will prosper, but those who seek love will achieve nothing. In this life, I only seek wealth, not love. I just want to be a scumbag honestly and have more beautiful girlfriends with different styles. I don't mind any Lolita, royal sister, queen, or Lespe. Li Yuan walked aimlessly along Zhou Yuan Road, passing by shops, comparing his memories of the future, and thinking about how to earn the first pot of gold. It is now 2008, and the imperial capital Olympics has not yet started. In this small county, all walks of life are actually quite complete. There are milk tea shops, and there are 3 in front of his number 1 middle school. Competition is fierce and business is good. Of course, if it is not too late to enter the industry now, the development prospects of milk tea shops will get better and better. Of course there are also hot pot restaurants, supermarkets, etc. Not to mention KTV, internet cafes, etc., although they are still at their peak now, to a certain extent, they are already considered sunset industries and will be completely out of date in a few years. Moreover, more often than not, in places where the ecological chain is very small, all kinds of businesses depend on the background. Without the background, you cannot stand. He had been struggling for many years in his previous life, and he had already seen through it. He remembered that there was a Carrefour supermarket that attracted investment, and its business was very good, but it was squeezed out by the local mart in every possible way. A small county town is an ecological closed loop, and it is difficult for outsiders to integrate into it. Especially, it's still 2008. He walked around a lot and found no better way to make money. There are only 2 ways to make money, which can still be considered. A franchised brand store, such as KFC or McDonald's, which has been doing very well in small counties until later generations, or a self-service barbecue restaurant, which is not available in the county now. The other option is to engage in express delivery and takeout, but the consumption power in small counties is too low, so it is not suitable. Moreover, this is a very money-consuming industry. Without a capital of hundreds of millions, it is impossible to get started. It is simply not something that he can get involved in now. In his previous life, he had also thought about starting a business, but after considering it for a long time, he finally chose to take the public examination because the market was saturated, there was no good entrepreneurial direction, and there was a lack of entrepreneurial funds. Facts have proved that his choice cannot be said to be wrong. A good friend of his at that time had become a deadbeat because his business had failed, he was in debt, and he disappeared without a trace. Millions of dollars in wealth were all wasted. After all, there are only a few people who can successfully start a business. Walking. A familiar advertising slogan came to my ears. Buy sports lottery tickets and enjoy a healthy life. Following the voice and seeing the store, Li Yuan perked up and immediately thought of the fastest way to earn his first pot of gold, which was also the most appropriate and safest way. Get money quickly, save trouble, be safe, and have high profits. This sports betting shop has only one facade, and there is a middle-aged boss with a big belly sitting inside. He is playing crossfire. When he saw Li Yuan come in, he spoke skillfully. Little brother, what kind of lottery tickets do you want to buy? Scratch tickets, 2-color ball, NBA, or Champions League? Li Yuan has naturally bought lottery tickets. When he was young, he believed that after investing thousands of dollars and getting very little, coupled with the exposure of some negative news, he quit this bad habit. He came in because he wanted to buy another lottery ticket. Boss, how do I buy sports lottery tickets for the NBA Finals? It is now June 10, 2008, and the third game of the NBA Finals has not yet started. As a senior basketball fan, he has watched all the live broadcasts except the first game because he did not watch the live broadcast due to the college entrance examination. Knowing the outcome is the opportunity after rebirth. The middle-aged boss was not surprised to hear Li Yuan's inquiry. In the past few days, many people came to buy sports lottery tickets, mostly basketball fans. Because of DAO, the NBA was very popular in China at this time, which also led to the development of sports lottery. Basketball sports betting has several methods such as over and over, margin of victory, victory and loss, etc., and the odds are also different. How are you going to buy it? Li Yuan looked at the odds. Tomorrow is the third game of the finals. Because the NBA Finals format at this time is 2-3-2, games 3, 4, and 5 are all home games of the Lakers. In the first two games, the Celtics won both games, and the third game was at home to the Lakers. The odds of winning or losing a single game were not high. The home win was only 1.6, which means betting 100 yuan, with profit included. You can get 160 yuan, and the customer win is 2.8. He touched his pocket and wallet, and found that in addition to the 1,000 yuan to return the gift, there was also 1,150 yuan that he planned to treat Bai Wuxi to shopping, and having a big meal after the confession was successful, which added up to half of his entire net worth. Boss, I'll buy the Lakers' third game win. I'll buy one for 2,000 yuan first. When the middle-aged boss heard that Li Yuan had directly purchased the item for 2,000 yuan, he looked at him with a high look and said, "Young man, you are quite rich." Li Yuan smiled lightly and said, "It's just pocket money. I believe the Lakers will win." Holding the sports lottery ticket, Li Yuan continued walking on the street, arrived at a construction bank, and took out all 2,000 yuan in cash from the card. I went to the sports lottery shop in front of number 1 middle school and bought the same thing for 2,000 yuan. No surprise, after tomorrow's game, I can earn 2,400 yuan. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 3. Li Yuan was not very satisfied with the result. The capital invested was too small. Because of the low odds, he could not make much money after the remaining 4 games, which was far from his goal of earning the first pot of gold. I have to find a way to raise some more money, Li Yuan muttered to himself. Before, in order to pursue Bai Wuxi, he had always maintained the image of good family background. In addition, he had good grades, was tall, looked a little handsome, and was generous, so his classmates were kept in the dark. Because of his parents' guilt and doting, they almost always responded to his requests. In his previous life, as a bootlicker, he spent a lot of money in 3 years of high school and 4 years of college, but unfortunately he didn't kiss. His parents thought he was in love. Although his family was average, he was not stingy with money. Because of the college entrance examination this year, his parents came back from afar and are now in their hometown in the countryside. He continued to stay in the rented house in the city, with an annual rent of 1,200 yuan. It was a very simple small room without even a separate bathroom. It was a typical example of putting on a brave face in high school. He took out his Nokia 3110C mobile phone, which was a low-end model worth 1 or 2,000 yuan. Li Yuan was still a little uncomfortable operating this simple mobile phone, looking for phone numbers to borrow money from. After seeing the name Wang Shui, Li Yuan paused. This was his high school classmate and a good brother. He was the best man at a wedding. They had always been in touch in their previous lives and often had drinks and dinners together. After dialing the phone, a familiar voice came, "Hello, Li Yuan, What do you want to talk to me about? Xiaoshui, do you have money on you? Lend me some. Li Yuan spoke directly. The two had a close relationship. He had lent money to each other several times, so he was not embarrassed to ask for money this time. Borrow money, you rich second generation, how can you be short of money? Wang Shui joked. Because of Li Yuan's disguise, his classmates and friends thought he had a good family. This damn self-esteem. In his previous life, when everything was revealed, Li Yuan realized how ridiculous he was, a living clown. He used the hard-earned money earned by his parents who worked outside in the cold and rain all year round to make up for his pitiful face. Li Yuan was in a good mood and said with a smile, "My brother has an emergency, and the rivers and lakes need help." "Nonsense, we are just following each other, and we can borrow as much as we want." "I don't have more," Wang Shui replied. 2,000 yuan, I will definitely return it to you in half a month. Wang Shui was shocked. In 2008, when the average wage per capita was less than 2,000 yuan, even if his family was not bad, this was most of his private money. He asked in confusion. 2,000? Li Yuan, why are you borrowing so much money? Are you going to buy a gift for your family member again? It has nothing to do with her. I need it urgently for other things. Whether to lend it or not is a matter of one sentence. Borrow it, I must borrow it. Brother, this is the first time you ask me, so I have to borrow it no matter what you say. Wait, I'll go get the money and find you later. Well, I'll wait for you at the gate of number 1 middle school in an hour. After calling Wang Shui, Li Yuan flipped through the phone numbers and continued to look for a target to borrow money from. Since he has been reborn, he will definitely succeed in the future. Borrowing some money can also test the brotherhood. He never borrowed money from them in his previous life. Li Yuan didn't know whether they would lend it to him. Besides, he had lent money to the other party before, and they had always returned the money. If he couldn't borrow money even after this, then they were not brothers, and he could just use this as an excuse to cut off contact in the future. Zhongding, lend me 3,000 yuan, and I'll pay you back in half a month. Borrow 3,000 yuan, so much. What are you going to do? You're not going to get some girl pregnant. Get lost, am I that kind of person? I really need it, it's inconvenient to tell you. Well, I'll think of a way. I'll wait for you at the school gate in 2 hours. 10 minutes later, Li Yuan made a total of 5 calls, all of which were good buddies in high school, and they had all borrowed money from him before. The result was not bad. Although they asked questions and dug deep, and some thought he was cheated or did something bad, they finally agreed to lend him money. This comforted him a little. Because the college entrance examination had just ended, his parents were around, and these classmates from the city who had a good family background had a little money on hand. During the student period, the friendship between classmates is relatively pure, unlike after entering the society, it is naked utilitarianism and value. If I get this 12,000 yuan, plus my own 4,000 yuan, the principal is not small. After a few games, I can make a small profit. By the way, I can also ask my parents for some money in the name of learning to drive. Anyway, I plan to learn to drive during the summer vacation of high school, and they will not refuse to give it. His rental house is at the Sanyi intersection next to the school. Looking at the small restaurants and hair salons on the roadside, Li Yuan feels very subtle. In this era, sweeping the emperor and beating the Fae are not very strict, and the quality of the young ladies is not bad. Unlike in the future, they all enter the live broadcast industry, which seriously lowers the quality of practitioners. Unfortunately, in his previous life, he naturally did not have the courage to enter. 100 yuan, it is really not expensive. Back to the simple rental house, there is only a 1.5-meter bed, a wardrobe, a desk, and kitchen utensils for cooking. He usually cooks for himself. Looking at the piles of books and study materials in the room, he realized that in his previous life, he sold them directly to garbage vendors. He sold them for 80 yuan for all the hard work he put in 3 years of high school. Let him regret it in the future. Looking through his various textbooks, Li Yuan made up his mind. In this life, these past memories must be preserved well no matter what. At the gate of number 1 middle school, Li Yuan met Wang Shui again. Unlike the two people who were both pot-bellied in their previous lives, they were both in good shape now. Yuanzi, here you go, here is 2,000 yuan. This is all my private money. Wang Shui handed an envelope to Li Yuan. Li Yuan took it and stuffed it into his pocket without even looking at it. He smiled and said, "Thanks, brother, don't worry. I promise to return it to you in a few days." Wang Shui hit Li Yuan on the chest and asked with a smile, "Yuanzi, how is your relationship with that person in your family? Have you succeeded?" Li Yuan was so ashamed that his head was pounding. As soon as he mentioned the matter of being a dog licker, he felt extremely ashamed. The whole class knew that he had been chasing Bai Wuxi for 3 years. In the future, this number will become 4, 5, 6, 7 years, until he becomes a pitiful clown. "Stop talking, I was rejected. I'm going to hug other beautiful ladies," Li Yuan said calmly, thinking to himself, her best friend in college is pretty good. In his previous life, he had met Bai Wuxi's best friend in college once. She was really beautiful, the perfect goddess in his mind. Wang Shui was shocked. "Yuanzi, are you kidding me? I have been chasing him for 3 years and suddenly I stopped chasing him. Isn't it such a loss after paying so much?" Suddenly, he realized something was wrong. After being rejected, you confessed your love to Bai Wuxi again? Did she really reject you? "Well, I was just rejected this morning," Li Yuan continued to speak calmly. After receiving Li Yuan's definite answer, Wang Shui became angry. "Damn it, Bai Wuxi is really short-sighted. You are so good to her. You are tall, handsome, and have good grades. How can you not be worthy of her? Listen to a brother's words, break up. If you break up, the next one will be better. She will definitely regret losing you." Chapter 3. If you want to make money, you must have a thick skin and a dark heart. In the last life, Bai Wuxi had no regrets, he knew it clearly. Because he graduated from 985 University and had good looks, Bai Wuxi lived a good life. Later, he married a native of Shanghai. Although he was not married to the second generation of super rich people, he was still from a good family. "I heard that my parents-in-law are in the system and have a car and a house." And he couldn't stay in the Devil City any longer, so he could only return to his hometown in the county in despair, which made him even more like a clown. Although she is very bad, but if you look at it from a different perspective, Bai Wuxi is the kind of top-notch green tea with a clear goal. She also succeeded and lived better than most of her classmates. It's not easy to make her regret in this life. Li Yuan shook his head secretly, looking for an excuse to drop the topic. "Xiao Shui, I guess your score has been released. Can you join the first line?" When it comes to the college entrance examination, Wang Shui has little interest and is not very interested. "You don't know my grades yet, let alone the first grade. I will be thankful if I can get into the second grade." "Yuanzi, what about you? Your grades have always been among the top 3 in our class. How did you do on the exam? Can you get 600? Although their class is not an Olympic class, it is still among the best among ordinary classes. This year's college entrance examination, the undergraduate passing rate exceeded 50%, and 10 people passed the first level. He was ranked 3rd in the class, and the first was Bai Wuxi. Bai Wuxi's Chinese and English scores were much better than his. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Ken Ru Xiahua. Chapter 4. It should be no problem to get above 600, but I haven't decided what major to apply for. By the way, Xiaohua, the university is not important, but the major must be chosen correctly. It is best not to choose majors such as biochemistry, environmental materials, etc. Li Yuan vaguely remembered that Wang Shui studied chemistry in college, which was a pitfall just like his major. Wang Shui nodded. My cousin is a junior in Jinling. I will ask him after the results come out. He said Jinling is pretty good. I am hesitating whether to go there to study. Yuanzi, what about you? Jinling, Luzhu, or the imperial capital or the magic capital? Jinling is the capital of Jiangsu province, also known as Huijing. There are many people from the land of northern Anhui in Jinling, and the drive is not far. It only takes 3 hours to drive there. So, most of the classmates in the class want to apply for universities in Luzhu, Jinling, etc. I haven't decided yet. Let's see the results first, Li Yuan said. At about 2 p.m., Li Yuan met 5 classmates one by one, with 12,000 yuan in cash in his arms. This money could almost buy a toilet in Shanghai. There are about 7 or 8 sports lottery shops in the county, most of which are in front of the school or in the downtown area. Li Yuan took 12,000 yuan in cash and went to the sports lottery shops in front of the number 2 middle school, number 6 middle school, and number 4 middle school to buy tomorrow's basketball sports lottery. After checking the time, Li Yuan got on the bus home. It's still early, and it's still in time to go home. The buses in 2008 were privately owned. If you want to go home from the county, you either drive yourself or take their buses. In his previous life, he saw with his own eyes that a group of people driving the bus beat up a taxi driver who was soliciting passengers from the town. This industry is a highly profitable industry in the gray area, and the water is deep. My hometown is on the side of the provincial road, an ordinary 2-story building, which was just built 2 years ago. There was no sense of homesickness. Except for the fact that there were fewer buildings on the roadside, it was no different from the previous life. In front of the rolling shutter, the younger sister Li Zixia was playing with her pet cat. Seeing Li Yuan coming over, she greeted him in confusion. Brother, why are you back? Didn't you say you would stay in the city for a few days? Li Yuan smiled and walked up to his sister, pinching her slightly thin face. The 15-year-old girl was growing up and felt very good. I came home for something. Where are our parents? Humph, pinching me again. Li Zixia turned her head and pointed to the back of the house. They are watering the vegetable garden in the back. My parents were away all year round and only came home once during the spring festival. The more than 6 acres of land at home were also planted for my uncle's family. Rural families like to grow some vegetables in front and behind the yard, such as cucumbers, peppers, tomatoes, radishes, beans, evergreens, etc. Generally speaking, they are enough for their own family. Compared with more than 10 years later, my parents' figures are no different, just a little younger. Mom, give me some money. Li Yuan went directly to his mother Xiaqin, who had always been in charge of the family's financial power. Xiaqin did not refuse immediately, but asked, why do you want money, how much do you want? Li Yuan said, Mom, give me 4,000. My classmates and I have an appointment to sign up for a driver's license after the college entrance examination. Xiaqin was stunned. It costs 4,000 to get a driver's license. It's so expensive. You just graduated from high school. Isn't it too early to get a driver's license? Father Li Hong came over. If he wants to take the test, let him take it. Didn't Gangza next door take the test last year? It is normal to take a driver's license during the holiday after the college entrance examination. He took the test in his previous life when he was in Magic City University, and spent several thousand more. Li Yuan also took the opportunity to explain, several of our classmates have signed up, and we are free after the college entrance examination. Xiaqin thought about it, and didn't say anything. She got up and went upstairs to get the money. Li Heng reminded, Yuanzi, when learning to drive and taking the test, don't be so stubborn. Remember to buy 2 packs of Yunnan cigarettes for the coach, so that he can teach you more. Li Yuan was speechless, but this is society. He had been struggling for many years in his previous life before he understood this truth. Dad, I know. Father Li Heng does not smoke and rarely drinks. His hands are all calloused due to the wind, sun, and severe cold in the northeast. Looking at his son, Li Heng wanted to say something, but he was silent again. Just holding the water pipe, silently watering the vegetable garden. The father and son actually rarely communicated. In his previous life, he didn't like to communicate with his parents because of his personality. There was a generation gap, and he was away from home all year round. As a left-behind teenager, there was really no other topic except asking his parents for money. Li Yuan felt depressed, and some bad memories of his previous life came to his mind again. Dad, I'll take you and my mom to the hospital for a physical examination in a few days. The father's reaction was as Li Yuan expected, I'm in good health, why do I need a physical examination? Li Yuan frowned, Mom's stomach is not good, your blood pressure is high, and I can go to school in another city with peace of mind after a physical examination. Then give your mom a physical examination, I'm fine myself. Li Heng was silent for a while, and spoke in a deep voice. After a while, Mother Xiaqin came back, wrapped a roll of money in toilet paper, handed it to Li Yuan, and told him. Xiao Yuan, this is 4,000 yuan, you can take it to learn to drive. Can you stay at home tonight before going to the city? Li Yuan took the cash that smelled of seasoning. This money was earned by his parents who got up early and worked late, pushing the car around the streets and alleys, penny by penny. Dad, Mom, my classmates are still waiting for me in the city. I'll leave first. Seeing her son hurriedly come home and then leave again, Xiaqin's heart was filled with tears and she almost shed tears. Xiao Yuan, pay attention to safety on the road, take good money, and be careful of thieves. Mom, I know, the car is here, I'm leaving. After saying that, Li Yuan took the money, got on the shuttle bus from the door, and left in a hurry. After Li Yuan left, Xiaqin complained, this kid has spent more and more money in the past 2 years. When he goes to college and falls in love, he can't spend tens of thousands a year. Li Heng sighed, as long as he studies hard, it will be fine. Our family is powerless. If Yuanzi doesn't study hard, he will have to work hard like us all his life. Just spend some money, he knows it well. Yes, let's save more in the future. You haven't bought new clothes for a whole year. Xiaqin frowned, I hope Xiao Yuan can get into a good university this time. In the future, we will find a wife at the university and come home. Our task will be considered complete. Li Yuan's grades have always been good, much better than most of his peers in the same village. Most of the children in the neighborhood completed 3 years of junior high school, received their junior high school diploma, and then went out to work. Li Yuan was a little ashamed of cheating money from his parents, but in order to make his first pot of gold, he could only comfort himself. If you want to make money, you must have a thick skin and a dark heart. Now that they are all reborn, they must straighten their spines and be proud of themselves in the future. The black-hearted Li Yuan took the shuttle bus and returned to the county town without incident. When he arrived at the gate of number 8 middle school, he directly exchanged 4,000 yuan for a sports lottery ticket. Back at the rental house, Li Yuan was thinking about tomorrow's profits. He borrowed and cheated today to obtain a principal of 20,000 yuan. According to the odds of 1.6, when the game ends tomorrow, he will make a net profit of 12,000 yuan. Please collect the new book and read it. We welcome you to discuss the plot together. Chapter 4 Earn tens of thousands a day, before the hidden dragon rises. In the rental house, Li Yuan tossed and turned and couldn't sleep at all. Various thoughts came to mind. From beginning to end, he had only one goal, and that was to make money. With money, you have everything. Money can solve most of your worries. In his previous life, he had enough and was looked down upon and ridiculed because he had no money. At around 10 o'clock in the evening, when Li Yuan was getting ready to go to bed, his phone suddenly vibrated. It was a text message from Biwuxi. Li Yuan, I'm sorry for today. I have always regarded you as my best friend, before, now, and in the future. No need to reply, good night. After reading the content of the text message, Li Yuan suddenly became furious. Damn green tea bitch, why are you pooing me? His fingers were typing quickly on the keys. Biwuxi, you green tea, scumbag, I have nothing to do with you anymore. I'm just wandering away from your sunshine. As he wrote, Li Yuan suddenly felt a little unmotivated. Replying like this, besides making yourself look like a clown, what else can you do? Can Biwuxi feel the slightest regret? No, it can only show that I can't let go. Pressing the delete button, Li Yuan deleted all the content word by word. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Ken Ru Xiahua. Chapter 5. Just wanted to block Biwuxi's contact information, but then I felt that my behavior was childish. Don't miss a good girl, don't waste a bad girl. Keep her for now, pretend you don't see her, and when you become rich, let her come back to lick your ass, literally lick your ass. Li Yuan secretly swore in his heart that he was not very tolerant, and it was impossible for him to let go of Baiyu Guang, who he had been pursuing for 7 years, with just one sentence. After making the first pot of gold from sports lottery, how should I continue to make money? Start my own business, or invest in the stock market? Long-term holdings of Pingguo, Maotai, and Sungsun are not bad, but it is still far from achieving financial freedom in a short period of time. Now is the global financial crisis, and everyone in the stock market is in danger. When the stock rises, it will be after 2010. By the way, in my previous life, I heard an associate professor in the college mention that he bought a stock in June this year, which went against the trend and soared several times in less than a month, making a lot of money. He boasted for several years, so I can try it. It's 2008 now. If I were to do my old profession, which was also my part-time job in my previous life, writing online novels would be a way out in the future. I started by writing fan fiction, and I have a very good understanding of those books that are bound to be popular. In the future, it is not impossible to become a well-known great writer and earn tens of millions a year. As for starting a business, I have no experience, but with foresight, when the funds are sufficient, I may be able to get a share of the internet, short videos, games, and other industries, but it is easy to be cut by leaks. That night, Li Yuan thought about it until 3 or 4 in the morning, and fell asleep only after he couldn't stand it anymore. I didn't set an alarm clock, so I slept until more than 10 in the morning. I turned on my phone and connected to Mobile Dream Network, and saw that Zhulang Sports was broadcasting the third game of the NBA Finals in text. The game started at 9 o'clock, and the third quarter had just begun. Li Yuan was a little nervous. He was reborn, and he was really afraid that the so-called butterfly effect would happen. However, he was reborn only one day, and he didn't do anything earth-shattering. Even if there was a butterfly effect, it shouldn't affect the Americans. In the anxious waiting, the Lakers defeated the Celtics 87-81, pulling back a point, and the score came to 2-1. Fortunately, there is no change. I made 12,000 yuan today, not bad. Li Yuan breathed a sigh of relief with a smile on his face. He first went to the sports lottery store near No. 1 Middle School to redeem the prize. The owner of the No. 1 Middle School sports lottery store, who was just in his early 30s and was also a basketball fan, smiled and said, "Little handsome boy, you are lucky. You made 2,400 on this order. Do you want to continue buying?" Li Yuan replied, "Of course I will continue to buy, 6,400, all by the fourth game, the Celtics win." The owner of the sports lottery store frowned and reminded, "Little handsome boy, aren't you a Lakers fan? The Lakers are in the limelight at home, Kobe is playing well, why don't you buy the Lakers?" What can Li Yuan say? He can't say that he is a reborn person. After this game, the fans are indeed more optimistic about the Lakers winning. The first 3 games were evenly matched, with the difference in wins and losses not exceeding 10 points. The next 2 games were both at the Lakers' home court. With the added advantage of home court, more people were optimistic about the Lakers' equalization. The owner of the sports lottery store shook his head, "So you are a Celtics fan?" In the fourth game, the odds of the visiting Celtics are 2.6, or do you only buy the win or loss? Yes, buy both win or loss. Next, Li Yuan went to 4 other sports lottery stores and continued to buy after redeeming the prize. Today's game, I invested 20,000 yuan in principal, with an odds of 1.6, and made a net profit of 12,000 yuan. Use another 32,000 yuan as principal, and buy separately in 6 lottery stores, with an odds of 2.6. The day after tomorrow, the principal and interest will be 83,200 yuan. This way of making money is really fast, no wonder there are so many gamblers. The result of the game will not be known until 2 days later. After Li Yuan finished his busy work, he prepared to go to the internet cafe to check the stock market and novel websites. Next to number 1 middle school, only about 200 meters away from his rental house, there is a sunny internet cafe that has been open for many years. Li Yuan put down a 50 yuan bill and said generously, "Boss, open a computer for me, and take a bottle of Sprite, and keep the rest." Compared with the future urban internet cafes, the environment of the county internet cafes at this time is extremely bad, with sour smells, smoke, and instant noodles everywhere. Some night owls who stay up late to play games fall asleep directly in the internet cafe. Li Yuan found a hidden corner near the wall and logged into QQ first. At this time, there was no WeChat, and chatting and making friends were either text messages or QQ. As a high school student, QQ was rarely used. Mobile phones can log in to QQ, but nowadays, not many students in the class have mobile phones. Li Yuan opened QQ, and there was no chat information on it, only a few messages in the class group. In his previous life, he was used to using WeChat and had abandoned QQ for a few years. After encountering setbacks at work, he used QQ again when he went to write part-time. When he saw the QQ signature at this time, "I will spend my whole life in exchange for your turning around once," he couldn't help it at all and directly deleted all the previous signatures, comments, etc. What a mentally retarded person. Li Yuan first opened the stock website and searched for the stocks mentioned by the associate professor of the college. They have been listed, but have not started to soar. The overall trend is upward. According to the associate professor, they will start to soar at the end of June. Well, fortunately, there is still time. In his previous life, in order to make money, he also bought stocks for a period of time after work. However, a casual person like him would eventually lose everything in the stock market. He invested tens of thousands of dollars and ended up with nothing. Only a very small number of people can make money, otherwise the associate professor of the college would not have boasted for many years because he made millions. After comparing various data, looking at it for a while, and searching for information on stock account opening, he had an idea in his mind. After the NBA finals are over, he can invest some money to test the waters. What the associate professor said should not be false. In addition to the stock market, what he values most is online creation. At this time, it is the wild growth period of online creation, so that any writer with a few years of writing experience in the future can quickly become popular. Now, various schools of thought have not yet flourished, and are far from being as popular as in later generations. The most important point is that the country's economy has been advancing at a high speed, and housing prices are low. There are actually many rich people who are willing to spend money. After logging into the Yuandian Chinese network skillfully, Li Yuan followed the prompts to create an author account. In his previous life, he had no hope for a career in politics and was ready to lie down, so he started writing part-time online articles. Although his performance was not very good, his income was not bad, and he could make 7,000 to 8,000 yuan a month, which was higher than his salary at his main job. Some online authors he met in the author group, some of whom were students who had not yet graduated from college, started writing and made tens of thousands of yuan a month, which made him envious. Unlike when they were in college, they played games, played basketball, or talked about love, and didn't think about making money at all. What should I write? Dupo, Dulu, devouring, covering the sky, eternal life. The reputation of the 5 whites of the Central Plains is great. He has read all these books, and they will be adapted in the future. Each book brings tens of millions of income to the author, and he has also written corresponding fan fiction. Battle Through the Heavens created the genre of useless people and broken engagements, with over 100 million hits, and one book made Tudo the Supreme God. Not to mention Dulu, a book that has been popular until 2023, becoming a series and making San Shao the richest online writer. Dong Ji's The Heaven Shaking, The Road to Heaven, The Song of the Song, and The Heaven Shaking by the Finger, The Emperor is full of style, but I'm afraid that it will be ominous in his later years. And Devouring, the first fan fiction I wrote in my previous life, the character of City Lord Luo is enough to make people feel good. Eternal Life, with a huge volume and a lot of content, is the most difficult to grasp. Which one should I write? New books are for reading, collection, and monthly tickets. Comments are welcome to discuss the plot. Chapter 5 How can you chase girls like this? In the teacher's apartment building next to the 4th middle school, Bai Wuxi held a guitar and stared at the computer and mobile phone in a daze. After she rejected Li Yuan's confession, the other party suddenly became extremely indifferent, as if he had become a different person, which made her very uncomfortable. It's been 2 days, and you can still resist not looking for me. Are you ready to give up now? This is just a small test for you. You were not like this before. How can you chase a girl like this? Bai Wuxi was a little angry. She suddenly felt that she couldn't figure out Li Yuan's character. At first, she didn't have much good feelings for Li Yuan. She just saw that he had good grades and could help her study. In addition, he was willing to spend money on her, looked a little handsome, and was very careful. In such an atmosphere, she really enjoyed the feeling of being cared for, so she tacitly accepted Li Yuan's kindness to her. However, this kind of feeling did not reach the feeling of lovers, and she always kept a certain distance to prevent herself from falling into it. More than friends, but not lovers. But if she had to choose a boyfriend at this time, she would eventually choose Li Yuan. The reason why she rejected Li Yuan's confession was that she was afraid that she would not see the kind of future she wanted with Li Yuan. Quietly glancing outside the door, my mother was secretly wiping tears in the kitchen again. No need to guess, she had quarreled with my father over money again. Both of my parents are ordinary teachers. In order to take care of her studies, they did not go to cram school. Even with their combined salaries, they still lived a tight life, arguing about food and daily necessities every day. My mother was also a great beauty when she was young. Despite the resolute opposition of her grandparents, she went to a foreign country and came to a small county town to marry the so-called love. But love cannot be eaten. My mother was only 40 years old, but she had a little white hair on her temples and a few more wrinkles on her face. Although my mother treated her very well, bought her a mobile phone, a computer, a guitar, and taught her music, Biwixie was very afraid that her future would become like her mother's. That's not the life I want. I don't want to live in daily quarrels over money. She turned QQ to the online state, looked at Li Yuan's avatar, wanted to type something, and deleted it. After a while, she typed another sentence. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Ken Ru Xiahua. Chapter 6. In the internet cafe, Li Yuan finally wrote the opening chapter. Strength of Fighting, 3rd stage. Yes, in the end he decided to revamp Dopo, deleting some of the more general plots, and enriching the content with magic weapons, elixirs, talismans, strange fire systems, and Yun, Mia Queen Elizabeth's emotional scenes, etc. This revised outline is more like a highly modified Dopo fanfic. You may not be able to see it if you let Tudo see it in person. Although the results may be worse than the original version, at least I have put in my hard work, right? He named the new book Fighting in the Starry Sky. The author's name is Life is Like a Summer Flower that he used in his previous life. He uploaded 3 chapters first and waited for the website to review. Since he didn't have a computer at home, he practically lived in an internet cafe. With his part-time job in his previous life, he could code 10,000 words per day all year round, and could code 3,000-4,000 words per hour. After spending more than 10 hours in the internet cafe, Li Yuan coded more than 40,000 words in one breath. The content of the book was also approved and officially published on the Origin Chinese website. I left the internet cafe, returned to the rental house, and had a good sleep. When I woke up, it was already noon on June 13th. Li Yuan quickly looked at the score and felt completely relaxed. The Lakers were defeated as expected and failed to equalize the score, falling behind 3:1. This has been a death sentence for the Lakers. At the lottery shop in front of number 1 middle school, the owner looked at Li Yuan and gave him a thumbs up excitedly. Young man, your guess was accurate. The Lakers lost as expected. Now the Celtics are safe. The boss is a Garnett fan, so naturally he is very happy when the Celtics win. The odds are 2.6, the principal and interest are 16,640, and the net profit is 10,240 yuan. Because your single bet does not exceed 10,000, you do not need to deduct tax. Do you still continue to buy? Li Yuan nodded with a smile. The tax rate for lottery tickets is very high, but sports lottery is different. A single bet is 2 yuan, and the profit of a single bet does not exceed 10,000, so there is no need to pay tax. I bet the Lakers will win next time. What are the odds? The next game is still the home court of the Lakers. The betting company seems to be more optimistic about the Celtics. The odds of the Lakers are 1.8. Then buy the one for 16,600 and give me the remaining 40 in cash. After Li Yuan left, the owner of the sports betting shop gritted his teeth and followed Li Yuan and bought the Lakers for 10,000 yuan. This kid is a bit evil. After visiting 6 sports betting shops in a row, exchanging all the winnings and buying new ones, Li Yuan secretly calculated how much money he would make after the game the day after tomorrow. With interest, it should be 149,400 yuan. After 5 or 6 days, I made more than 100,000 yuan, which is pretty good. The most profitable thing is the last game. Li Yuan was in a good mood. He was riding his bicycle on the street. When he passed a dilapidated house in the south of the city, he suddenly discovered another business opportunity. Before and after the winter vacation this year, the county government will plan the construction of a new area in the south of the city. These old houses are all within the scope of demolition and resettlement. It is said that each family has lost a lot, some as little as millions. It should only cost more than 20 to buy them now. 10,000, in just half a year, there was nearly 10 times the profit. Li Yuan was a little hesitant. The profit was considerable and much safer than in the stock market. Now is a global economic crisis, and entering the stock market can only take a long-term approach. And development and demolition is a sure profit business. As for whether there would be disputes, he didn't really care. As long as it was written in black and white and the transfer was notarized, even if the original owner regretted it, there was nothing he could do about it. The brave ones will be exhausted, and the timid ones will be starved to death. Go to an agent first to see if you can catch some leaks. At this time, the county is not like the real estate agents everywhere after the development of Chinnan New District in 2010. Li Yuan found an intermediary company called Integrity Real Estate near Huanjilu. He remembered that this real estate intermediary company was open until 2023. It takes a long time, which means the reputation is good. As soon as I entered the door, a middle-aged woman wearing a professional short skirt came over to say hello. "Handsome guy, are you looking at the house alone?" Li Yuan, "Well, let me just take a look. There are 3 newly opened properties in our county, Zhuangzi Community, Golden Home, and Huatong Fortune Plaza. The locations are very good and the housing prices are affordable." The sales manager introduced gushingly. For example, Zhuangzi Community is located in the center of the city with a beautiful environment and high greenery. Next to it is the 6th Middle School District. Li Yuan was not interested in buying commercial housing and asked directly, "I want to buy a self-built house near Baoyang. The documents must be complete, the ownership can be transferred, and there are no property rights disputes. Do you have any suitable housing?" Upon hearing this, the sales manager noticed that Li Yuan was wearing a sports brand and kindly reminded him, "The environment in Baoyang is very poor. It is 5 or 6 miles away from the county seat. What is there to buy? You must have heard people's nonsense that there is going to be developed there, right? That's all a lie. The county's finances are tight and the county's main leaders have just changed. There won't be any big moves. Besides, the houses over there are very expensive, so I still recommend you buy commercial housing." Li Yuan remained calm. He actually knew what was going on here. Although the development of Chinnan New District did not go smoothly, it was eventually developed. "Take a look at it for me. If it's suitable, I'll buy it." "Okay, let me take a look at the listings." The sales manager flipped through the computer and quickly found the listings in those communities. Baoyang has 2 houses, both are single-family houses, 3 floors and 3 rooms with a yard, and Liulawang has 1 house, 2 floors and 3 rooms with a yard. "Come and take a look at the house layout." Li Yuan went over to take a look. They were all self-built houses in the countryside. The layout, environment, and decoration were all average. The cost of building a house was only about 100,000 yuan. However, these are not important. "What are the asking prices for these houses?" Li Yuan asked. Sales manager, "The 2 houses in Baoyang are priced at 380,000 yuan each and 360,000 yuan each. The one in Liulawang is only 300,000 yuan. The certificates are complete and the transfer can be made, but the owner needs to pay the full amount." Li Yuan originally thought it would only cost about 200,000 yuan. The house price was much higher than he expected, so the profit margin was much lower. With this money, it is better to invest in the stock market. Why bother with this trouble? The price is too high. With this price, I can buy a villa in the Zhuangzi community you mentioned. If the price can be reduced, I can consider buying one. The sales manager also felt that it was a bit high, mainly because the residents heard that the house was going to be demolished and reported it too high. "Handsome guy, if you really want it, You can leave your phone number and I will ask for the price for you. Li Yuan nodded. Due to the economic crisis this year, the prices of houses across the country are falling. If you can negotiate it down to around 200,000, call me. My phone number is 183-5679. New book, please collect and read. Chapter 6 Be Friends. Do I need a friend from you? Buying a house is something that cannot be rushed. Even if you want to buy it, you can't let the other party easily see your intention. Even if it doesn't work out, he doesn't care. After Li Yuan left his phone number to the real estate agent, he was about to go back for lunch when the phone rang suddenly. Hello, Xiaohui, what do you want to talk to me about? Yuanzi, where have you been these days? You didn't come to play basketball or watch the game. This is the NBA Finals, a classic yellow-green battle, Wang Shui complained on the other end of the phone. Can I say I've seen it? Li Yuan laughed in his heart. He and Wang Shui, Zhang Zhongding, Suji, and others are all hardcore basketball fans. They had agreed to play basketball and practice driving together during the summer vacation. But after rebirth, he had long forgotten about this matter and only wanted to make money. After thinking about it, the body is the capital of the revolution. It can't just be about making money. Proper exercise is also very necessary. After working in his previous life, he worked during the day and worked part-time at night. His body was half-wasted, unlike now when he is at the peak of his physical fitness. I have time in the afternoon. Where are you going to play? The sports committee square. I have an appointment for a basketball game with the next door class 23. There is a guy in that class who always pursues Biwaxi. You had a conflict because of this before. Wang Shui was talking, and suddenly remembered something, and apologized quickly. Yuanzi, I'm sorry, I was busy playing basketball and forgot about what you said. If it's not convenient for you, let's do it another day. Li Yuan laughed. What are you talking about? What happened between me and her is in the past. Whoever wants to pursue can pursue, it doesn't matter. Wang Shui still expressed doubt. Have you really let it go? Li Yuan was speechless and said unhappily, why didn't I realize that you are so fussy before? Okay, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I have an appointment with them. After hanging up the phone, Li Yuan went to a small restaurant next to the school and ordered a portion of twice-cooked pork and hot and sour potato shreds, and a large portion of white rice, filling his stomach happily. Seeing that it was still early, Li Yuan went to the internet cafe and wrote a novel for more than 2 hours. Taking advantage of the free time during the summer vacation, he wanted to write more words as a draft. Suddenly, a message from Yuandian Chinese website came. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Ken Ru Xiahua. Chapter 7. Dear writer, hello, your work, Battle of the Stars has been reviewed by our professional editing team and has reached the contract standard. Please contact your editor, *525866973. Seeing the short message about the contract, Li Yuan felt that it was natural. It was much easier to sign online articles during this period, not as complicated as in later generations. Li Yuan downloaded and printed the contract, read it carefully, and signed his name quickly. He spent 15 yuan and sent it back using EMS. Adding the editor's QQ, Li Yuan first asked, hello, Star, I am the author of Battle of the Stars Sheng Ru Xiahua. At this time, the editor of Yuandian Chinese website had great power, and the recommendation mechanism was not as perfect as in the future. After a while, the editor replied, Xiahua, your book has great potential. You must ensure that more than 2,000 words are updated every day. I will arrange a big recommendation for you next week. Li Yuan replied, thank you, Star, I will try my best to keep updating. There was no further reply from the other side. Li Yuan looked at the data of Battle of the Stars, with 138 recommended votes and 26 comments. Click on the comments. The useless person's divorce is interesting. The author should update soon. I've been following it. 30 years in the East, 30 years in the West. Don't bully the poor young. It's so true. Big brother, I'll give you a reward. Can you update 2 more chapters? Excuse me, is there a QQ group? I want to join the group to discuss the plot. Li Yuan shook his head slightly. It's too early to build a group now. I'll talk about it after it's online. Looking at the time, it's already past 3 o'clock. Li Yuan returned to the rental house, changed into a jersey, and rode a bicycle to the sports committee square. When Li Yuan arrived, Wang Shui, Suji, Zhang Zhongding, Yang Zhen and other high school classmates had already arrived. Wang Shui stepped forward and hammered Li Yuan's chest. Yuanzi, you are the only one missing. We must beat up class 23 today. Yuanzi, I heard that you confessed to classmate Bai, Suji asked curiously. Li Yuan subconsciously looked at Wang Shui, who panicked and quickly explained, it wasn't me, I didn't tell anyone. Suji patted Li Yuan on the shoulder and comforted him, Yuanzi, it wasn't Xiao Shui, it was Wang Yuchen who told me. Wang Yuchen was Bai Wuxi's high school best friend, so it was normal for Bai Wuxi to tell her best friend. Besides, he had been pursuing Bai Wuxi for 3 years, and everyone in high school knew about it. Li Yuan glanced at Suji. Daji, you and Wang Yuchen have a good relationship, right? Did you get her? Suji blushed and muttered, no way, we haven't confirmed our relationship yet. Wang Shui widened his eyes. Daji, did you pick the hot pepper in the class? That's awesome, brother. Zhang Zhongding came over and laughed. Finally, one of the 5 top students in our class is single. Yang Zhen looked at Li Yuan and asked with concern, Yuanzi, if you encounter any difficulties at home, tell the brothers and we will find a way. Li Yuan smiled. It felt good to be cared for. Nothing, don't worry, it will be fine after a while. Suji glanced at Li Yuan and said shyly, Yuanzi, Yuchen will come to watch the game later. Li Yuan smiled, okay, Daji, now you don't avoid people and show your love in front of your brothers. Suji pointed to the side of the court, Yuanzi, your guy is here too. Li Yuan turned his head and saw 2 young and beautiful girls walking towards him. One of them was wearing a white long skirt, white sneakers, a white shirt with a collar, and a high ponytail. The sunlight shone on her fair face, like a fairy walking out of the light. It was Bai Wuxi. The other one was a bit more graceful, wearing denim tight shorts, a sky blue shirt, and a dimple on her face. It was Wang Yuchen. When Bai Wuxi saw Li Yuan, her eyes lit up. She pursed her light red lips. Even without makeup, her appearance could still be above 95 points. Holding a bottle of apple-flavored Fanta in her hand, she walked straight to Li Yuan and handed him the water. She said with her pearly teeth, Li Yuan, I bought you a soda. I'm sorry for that day. The light fragrance entered her nose. Looking at the beautiful girl in front of her, her clear eyes stared at her closely, with tears faintly rolling, making people feel pity. I'm not thirsty, Li Yuan replied with a cold expression. Bai Wuxi frowned slightly, feeling a little annoyed. Looking at Li Yuan's cold appearance, she always felt that she had lost something important. Li Yuan, we have been together for 3 years, are you really like this? Can't we even be friends? Li Yuan continued to sneer, be friends? Do I need a friend from you? Then what do you want? I've said it before, I don't want to fall in love now. When the college entrance examination results come out, if we are in the same city, we can try everywhere. Bai Wuxi pursed her lips, gritted her teeth, and looked like she was about to cry. Li Yuan looked at Bai Wuxi like this, and his heart became very irritated. He was ready to treat her as a passerby. Why did he still do this? Just because you are beautiful, you can raise fish at will? Being hot and cold, playing hard to get, pulling and hanging, who wouldn't be like this? Basic operation of a scumbag. Li Yuan said in a cold voice, why do you have to pretend? I can't afford to offend, but can't I hide? Besides, you don't need a friend from me. Aren't there a lot of fish in your pond? Li Yuan, I'm really angry. Hearing Li Yuan mocking and wronging herself, Bai Wuxi's tears seemed to be turned on, and they flowed out in an instant, turning her head and running away. Wang Yuchen pulled Bai Wuxi, came to Li Yuan angrily, and asked, Li Yuan, how can you say that about Xiaobai? Are you still a man? Li Yuan glared, little pepper, what does it have to do with you? Wang Yuchen glared at each other, didn't Xiaobai temporarily reject you? As for saying such hurtful words. Li Yuan, Xiaobai is really blind to fall in love with you. Humph, Xiaobai, let's go, don't pay attention to this unfaithful man. Wang Yuchen vented her anger for her best friend, scolded Li Yuan, and left angrily with Bai Wuxi. Wang Shui, Suji, and other classmates looked at this scene, and they didn't understand why. This was not what they expected. It was Li Yuan who was rejected for his confession, but it seemed that Li Yuan rejected Bai Wuxi and became a scumbag. Wang Shui poked Li Yuan with his arm, Yuanzi, your girl seems really angry, why don't you go after her? Li Yuan just kept silent and walked towards the court alone. Daji, you don't go after her either. Suji looked at Wang Yuchen, who left in anger, feeling confused, and complained, what's going on? He ran over to chase Wang Yuchen. New book, please read it. Welcome to discuss the plot. What kind of campus love story do you want to see? Chapter 7. What level are you? Are you worthy of being my opponent? After a while, Suji came back and came to Li Yuan. Yuanzi, your girl seems really angry. Otherwise, you go to comfort her. Li Yuan said calmly, I've said that I have nothing to do with her anymore. Damn, are you really willing to give up? I think classmate Bai still likes you, Suji said in surprise. Li Yuan raised his eyebrows, I don't know whether she likes it or not. No need to say more, let this unbearable memory pass. Suji didn't know what to say. He also felt that Li Yuan's behavior was a bit strange. It's normal to be rejected by a girl. Besides, Bai Wuxi just declined politely, not explicitly. If Li Yuan works hard, he still has a chance to catch up. Look, in order to win back Li Yuan, he came to the stadium with Wang Yuchen to give them water. In his opinion, Li Yuan and Bai Wuxi are simply a perfect match. It's a pity not to be together. In fact, there are many boys in their class who have a crush on Bai Wuxi. Suji knows several of them, and even he himself once admired her when he was young. It's just that there is such an outstanding person like Li Yuan standing in front of them, which makes them feel discouraged. Wang Shui came over and reminded. Brothers, the game has started. All the guys from class 23 are here, and that licking dog Luo Jingwei is also here. Luo Jingwei is the guy who chases Bai Wuxi in class 23. He is a standard handsome man, tall, but his looks and grades are not as good as those of Li Yuan. He often comes to harass Bai Wuxi. Because, in the eyes of class 22 students, Li Yuan and Bai Wuxi are a couple, so they are very disdainful of Luo Jingwei, a licking dog. Zhang Zhongding said fiercely, I have disliked them for a long time, and I must give them a good beating today. Let them find out who is the father in the sports commission square. Women are not as important as basketball. Li Yuan and others quickly started to warm up and discuss the deployment of tactics, the simplest second and third joint defense. The game started soon. Neither class had a referee, so whether they committed a foul or not was entirely up to their own volition. Touching the basketball, Li Yuan felt abundant physical strength, which he did not have in his previous life. With a naked height of 1.83 meters, he could touch the basket at this time, but he couldn't complete a dunk. Yuanzi, come over and screen for me, watch my fadeaway jump shot. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Ken Ru Xiahua. Chapter 8. Brothers, retreat, and defend. Don't give them the chance to easily break into a fast break. Yuanzi, where are your 3-pointers? Why did you shoot so poorly today, so absent-minded? Yuanzi, you are so abstract today. If you continue like this, you will lose the game. Yuanzi, you committed an offensive foul. Why did your strength suddenly increase? As soon as the game started, Zhang Zhongding, Su Ji and others discovered that Li Yuan was out of form, his shots were inaccurate, he couldn't get stuck, and his coordination and tactics couldn't be achieved. Even though his strength seemed to be getting stronger. At the end of the game, Class 22 lost the game by 8 points, 64-72. The main responsibility for the loss lies with Li Yuan. He had abandoned basketball in his previous life, and he just picked it up when he was reborn. Li Yuan was feeling depressed when a voice suddenly came from his ear. Li Yuan, is this your level? Haha, no wonder Baiwixi rejected you. Li Yuan looked sideways, and saw a tall and thin man about the same height as him, with some pimples on his face, looking at him aggressively. Li Yuan sneered, who are you, who has the right to criticize me? Are you the scoundrel who wrote 108 love letters, but Baiwixi didn't even look at you? Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you that all the love letters you wrote were given to me by Baiwixi and used as toilet paper in my house. Luo Jingwei was furious and clenched his fists. This was his dark history and one of the reasons for his envy, jealousy, and hatred towards Li Yuan. Although Baiwixi did not agree to Li Yuan's confession, the two had a very good relationship during the 3 years of high school. Not only were they roommates, they also often went out together and occasionally held hands. In the eyes of many classmates, Li Yuan and Baiwixi are a perfect match. They are both talented and good-looking, and both have good grades. They are a perfect match. But only Li Yuan himself understood that the relationship between the two only stopped at holding hands occasionally. It was an ambiguous relationship and it was difficult to go further. More than friendship, lovers are not enough. This is the fish farming method of senior green tea, giving a little sweetness, but always keeping a distance. Luo Jingwei also turned on the taunting mode, Li Yuan, how can you be better than me? You say that I am a licker. How about you, you have been licking for 3 years, and you have been rejected too. Li Yuan sneered, haha. When Luo Jingwei saw Li Yuan's meaningful sneer, he immediately became angry and asked loudly, Li Yuan, if you are a man, come and have a duel between men with me. We will compete fairly to see who can catch Baiwixi in the end. Li Yuan raised his eyebrows and was too lazy to pay attention to him. He sneered contemptuously and turned around to leave. Li Yuan, why don't you answer? Are you afraid? What level of player are you worthy of being my opponent? Li Yuan paused, and his disdainful voice reached Luo Jingwei's ears, making him instantly furious. Luo Jingwei stood in front of Li Yuan, with sparks in his eyes. Li Yuan, you are crazy enough. Aren't you also a rejected licking dog? If you can go any better than me, I will definitely chase Baiwixi. Li Yuan knocked Luo Jingwei's body away, causing him to stumble to the ground. Li Yuan's murderous and heart-wrenching voice came to his ears. I've done it. There are many evening food stalls in the county, and there is one at the entrance of number 1 middle school. After ordering some barbecue and snow beer, the 5 of us just wore wet jerseys, whistling about Haiti, eating meat, and drinking from big bowls. Youth is capital, unlike middle-aged people who have to consider whether they have the 3 highs if they want barbecue, beer, or crayfish. Several people chatted about the future, looked forward to college life, and talked about the gossip they had heard. Yuanzi, at the end of the third year of high school, several couples in our class that I know have successfully confessed their love. Well, it seems that only you, the most favored one, failed to confess their love. Good son, if you don't open the pot, you'll have to drink it. If you don't, blow a bottle. Daji, what do you mean, you have already chased classmate Wang Yuchen? Hey, we made an appointment to go to a city to go to college. The drinking capacity is still average now. After each person drank 5 or 6 bottles of beer, he was already drunk. Wang Shui held a bottle of beer, put his arms around Li Yuan's neck, and said drunkenly, Yuanzi, let me tell you something from the bottom of my heart. Brothers are like brothers and sisters, and women are like clothes. When we get to college, let's have a real talk. When it comes to love, forget about biwaxi. Let's talk about it and wish you a happy breakup. Yang Zhen also raised the wine bottle. Xiao Shui is right. Only when a man has an unforgettable love break can he welcome a better love. Zhang Zhongding also raised his glass. Come on, Yuanzi, the old will not go, the new will not come, there is no grass anywhere in the world, why should you fall in love with a flower unrequitedly? Happy breakup, I wish you happiness. You can find a better breakup, please be happy. Only by saying goodbye to the wrong can you meet the right one. Wang Shui took the lead in singing Happy Breakup, and Yang Zhen and Zhang Zhongding also sang along, but the sound was a bit like howling like ghosts and wolves, and several men and women at the food stalls nearby frowned when they heard it. Li Yuan's eyes actually became a little moist. Listen to them singing, it's like I really broke up with Biwaxi after 3 years of dating. I just held hands, hugged, and kissed my cheek. I didn't do anything else, and I didn't get on base. Mater, the more I think about it, the worse I feel. Should I just let her go? Su Ji glanced at the text message on his phone. It was from Wang Yuchen. He hesitated to speak. He silently raised the bottle and put it to Li Yuan's ear. Yuanzi, I think you and classmate Bai can finally get together. Daji, I can't handle her high-level green tea. Li Yuan was also a little drunk, and drank the beer in the bottle. How could he not know that these were several good friends comforting him who had broken up? This time, drinking was different from the previous life. He drank painfully and very freely. Alcohol is indeed the best medicine for men to resolve their troubles. The next day, Li Yuan slept until the sun was high in the sky before getting up, and his head was still dizzy. Drinking too much beer will also give you a headache. I can't drink so much in the future. Last night, the 5 of them drank 7 or 8 bottles of beer each, plus barbecue, and spent 230 yuan, which was considered a big meal. Looking at the time, it was already past 11 o'clock in the morning. He didn't want to have lunch, so he simply washed up and slipped into the internet cafe to continue his coding career. In a blink of an eye, 2 days passed, and it was June 16th, and the 5th game of the NBA Finals also started as scheduled. Still without any surprises, the Lakers won. The score came to 3:2, according to the odds of 1.8, after the prize was redeemed, he had 149,400 yuan in hand. And the principal he paid was only 20,000 yuan, and in just 6 days, he made a net profit of nearly 130,000 yuan. This was his first pot of gold. No, there was one last crucial game next. Li Yuan rode his bicycle to the sports lottery shop at the entrance of No. 1 Middle School. As soon as he came in, the young owner of the sports lottery shop excitedly greeted Li Yuan. God, you are finally here, the flowers I have been waiting for are all withered. Which team are you going to buy for the game the day after tomorrow? Let me check the odds first. Li Yuan spoke calmly, he had expected the scene a long time ago. He won 3 consecutive bets, and made more than 20,000 yuan just in this one. It would be strange if it did not attract the attention of the owner of the sports lottery shop. However, sports lottery is different from other lotteries. It mainly depends on the degree of understanding of sports events. This is making money with your own ability. In the mind of the owner of this sports lottery shop, Li Yuan has become a basketball fan with unique vision. After cashing in the prize, Li Yuan looked at the latest odds. The odds of the Celtics winning are 1.4, and the bookmaker is also optimistic that the Celtics will win the final victory after returning to their home court. Chapter 8. Say one more thing to you, good night, brother. In the last game, Li Yuan was not going to continue to simply buy the win or loss. The odds of the win or loss were only 1.4. Even if he won, he would not make much money, which was not attractive to him at all. So, he was going to buy the net score. He still remembered that the last game would be an inhumane one-sided massacre, which almost created an NBA historical record. Li Yuan said calmly, "Boss, can you help me see what the odds of the winning point difference are?" The owner of the sports lottery shop looked at the odds on the website. If you bet on the Celtics to win, the difference is within 5 points, the odds are 1.3, 6 minus 10 points, 2.4, 11 minus 15 points, 5.6, 16 minus 20 points, 10.2, 21 minus 30 points, 24.8, 30 points or more, 42.5. Master, which one are you going to buy? The owner of the sports lottery store was expectantly waiting for Li Yuan's reply. Li Yuan carefully looked at the various odds. This was a gamble. If he won, he would become a millionaire, and if he lost, he would lose everything. Based on the principle of gluttony, the bold will die, and starvation, the timid will die. In order to earn the first pot of gold, Li Yuan decided to give it a try. "Boss, I'll buy the last one, the one with a score difference of more than 30 points and an odds of 42.5. After hearing Li Yuan's decision, the owner of the sports lottery shop changed his expression and stared at Li Yuan in shock. "Young man, do you want to bet so much? Isn't it better to continue betting on the outcome? The Lakers and Celtics are equally strong. The score difference in the first 5 games was within 10 points. In order to make money and ratings, the league will definitely let the game play a full 7th game. The Celtics will most likely lose the 6th game. No matter how much analysis is done, the Celtics can't win the Lakers by more than 30 points. The 6th game will definitely be a bloody battle with a close score." The analysis of the sports lottery shop owner was also popular at the time, and it was reasonable. After all, the yellow-green battle, every extra game, is hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. The NBA is a commercial league. If you don't make money, no one will believe it. Li Yuan was too lazy to explain and said firmly, "Just buy it as I said, the one with the highest odds, and invest all 24,900 in it." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Reincarnation. Chapter 9. The owner of the sports lottery shop looked at Li Yuan with puzzled eyes, muttering, "What a madman, how could the Celtics beat the Lakers by more than 30 points?" Originally, he thought Li Yuan was a basketball sports lottery god, but now it seems that he is just a little lucky. Today, he wanted to continue to buy with Li Yuan, but seeing Li Yuan's bold behavior, he hesitated. Giving the sports lottery ticket receipt to Li Yuan, he kindly reminded, "Young man, it's not easy to make money once, even if you lose, don't be impulsive." Li Yuan solemnly put away the receipt, smiled indifferently, and rode away. Then, he went to the other 5 sports lottery stores and made the same purchases after redeeming the prize. In order to prevent accidents, he bought 2 gambling companies respectively, and the odds were all above 40. "Li Yuan, who returned to the rental house, was really a little nervous. Even if I win, it's only 5 or 6 million yuan, which is RMB. Converted into US dollars, it's only 600,000 or 700,000 US dollars. It shouldn't affect the NBA finals thousands of miles away. After thinking about it carefully, Li Yuan felt that he was a little too worried. The NBA finals were worth hundreds of millions of US dollars, and his capital of 149,400 yuan was not even a drop in the bucket. Li Yuan turned on his Nokia phone. Mobile phones of this era are really difficult to use. There are several messages on it, all of which were text messages sent by Biwixi in the past few days. June 13, 22:30, Li Yuan, don't you think you are too much today? June 14, 22:30, why do you treat me like this? What did I do wrong? June 15, 22:30, okay, let's end it like this. I see through you. It turns out that your kindness to me before was all fake. I was too sentimental. June 15, 23:30, in the 3 years of high school, you accompanied me to fly kites in the fields, made love lunch boxes for me, sent me an umbrella in the rain, watched the sunrise with me, and celebrated my birthday. Thank you for your kindness to me. I am grateful and will always treasure it in my heart. I wish you find your other half. I say to you again, good night, brother. Li Yuan looked at the message sent by Biwixi and fell into silence. He took out a yuxi from his pocket, lit it, and exhaled smoke rings from his mouth. If he said that he still had feelings for Biwixi, he would be hypocritical to say that he had no feelings at all. After all, that was Bai Yueguang, whom he had loved deeply for 7 years in his previous life. For a man, the one who is most difficult to forget is always his first love. It seems that I have to start a new relationship as soon as possible to erase the shadow she left in my heart. The only one who can forget a woman is the next woman. But how can I forget my first love Bai Yueguang, who I have been chasing for 7 years? Damn, I might as well find an opportunity in the future to push her down, get the first blood, and then kick her away fiercely to avenge being kept as a fish in my previous life. Which method should I choose? Forget it, let's take it one step at a time. Cigarettes were burning one after another, and Li Yuan was a little depressed, so he went straight to the sunny internet cafe, opened a chartered plane, and continued to write. Opening the author's special area, there are many more recommendation votes, comments, and monthly tickets. The status of the work has also changed. Hey, the contract has been signed, the speed is quite fast, Li Yuan muttered, the speed of EMS is still relatively fast. Continue to look at the comment area. Warm sun after the storm, mister, you are so talented. I bow down to you and give you 10,000 points. I hope the author can add more chapters. The fool who loves reading books, build a floor, 100 points per floor, settle the account on the 100th floor, and reward the leader on the 1000th floor. Book shortage, Xiahua, can you set up a QQ group so that our fans can communicate conveniently? If you don't like it, just spray, it's another brainless white article, garbage, even dogs won't read it. Damn, it's only 30,000 words, and there are haters. Li Yuan first deleted the negative comments from the haters, and then selected important comments to reply one by one. Thank you for the reward, I am working hard on writing, and I will definitely update more chapters after it is put on the shelves. The QQ group will be established after the book is put on the shelves, and some extra chapters will be posted in the group at that time. There is also a message from the editor Sean Kong, this Sunday, you will be strongly recommended in a category, and you must not stop updating, and you can add more chapters appropriately. Li Yuan quickly replied, thank you Sean Kong, I will try my best to update. After a while, the editor Sean Kong replied, this book is currently growing very well and has the potential to become a big hit. You should pay more attention to the quality of the manuscript. Before uploading, Revise it carefully again to minimize typos. Li Yuan was ashamed. He typed quickly, but in his previous life, he rarely revised after coding and published it on time, which made it easy to make typos. Li Yuan replied, "Thank you Xin Kong for reminding me. I will pay attention in the future." In order to save as many manuscripts as possible, Li Yuan spent more than 10 hours coding in the internet cafe and completed nearly 40,000 words of manuscripts. For more than a week, I got up early and went to bed late every day. According to the daily coding volume of 30,000 to 40,000 words, I have saved 200,000 words of manuscripts. After it is put on the shelves, I can burst it, wait and see the effect of the recommendation. The first order exceeds 10,000, which should not be a problem. At this time, suddenly, a message came on QQ. Suji, Yuanzi, Yuchen told me that classmate Baiwixi's mental state has been a little off these days. What's wrong with you? Li Yuan was speechless. How could he know? He was not the worm in Baiwixi's stomach. Papa reply, don't ask me, I don't know, is it wrong not to want to continue to entangle with her? Suji, I think it's better for you to talk it out with her. After all, you have been classmates for 3 years. Even if you can't be a couple, you can be ordinary friends. Li Yuan, Daji, do you think that if you can't be lovers, you can still be friends? Suji, it should be possible. Li Yuan speechless, I tell you, the best ending if you can't be lovers is to forget each other and never contact each other until you die. Suji, you are right, then I don't care. If Baiwixi really has something wrong, just don't regret it. Li Yuan curled his lips and typed quickly with both hands, you overestimate my weight in her heart. Have you heard a song? Suji, what song? Li Yuan, actor. Have you ever experienced a relationship that is more than friends but less than lovers? Let's recall your past in the comment section. Chapter 9 Rebirth 10 days later, already a millionaire. Li Yuan then realized that Shuez Haiqian's actor has not been released yet. Forget it, you know she will be fine. Suji replied, as a brother, I remind you that we are all classmates. Even if we are not together, we should not make the relationship so stiff. Li Yuan was speechless. How could it be his fault? Don't talk nonsense, I'm playing games, I won't say anything. Li Yuan lit a cigarette, stood up, stretched his body, and did some stretching exercises. It is not so easy to be an online writer. Just sitting in front of the computer and typing for a few hours every day is a huge test. More than 4,000 words a day, all year round, if you are not really passionate about this industry, or if you are short of money and forced by life, it is really difficult to stick to it. Li Yuan did not want to start a business, but now it is the summer vacation of high school, and he will go to college in another place in September, and there are not many good entrepreneurial opportunities in this small county. As an online writer, he has read a lot of rebirth stories and envied those people who easily succeeded in starting a business in the novels. In his previous life, he had never started a business. Although his parents went out to do business when he was very young, they only set up roadside stalls and there was nothing worth learning from. During the summer vacation of college, he also went to northeast China once and rode a tricycle to set up a street stall to sell fruits, but he didn't make much money at all, only 100 or 200 yuan a day, which was not as good as working on a construction site. His eloquence was not good, and there was not much change until he entered the system in his later life. Li Yuan had many ideas about starting a business, but it was not suitable to implement them in this small county now. Wait until I save the first pot of gold and then look for entrepreneurial opportunities in college. In the blink of an eye, it was the game day on June 18th. Li Yuan watched this game with Wang Shui, Suji, and others in an internet cafe. Kobe, why don't you shoot? Where is your killer instinct? Can't you even resist? Wang Shui, as a Kobe fan, was so disappointed that he cursed and swore. Su Ji also looked unhappy. Boss and the Lakers will be placed on the pillar of shame in history. They lost 39 points and lost all face. Yang Zhen was so angry that he slapped the table and it squeaked, "I'm so angry that I don't want to eat anymore." Only Li Yuan looked normal, but he was already very surprised in his heart. This little butterfly who was reborn did not cause any changes on the other side of the ocean. Now, he only needs to complete the prize redemption and he will be a millionaire. Li Yuan comforted these brothers who were hurt. "Brothers, I will treat you to a big dinner tonight, and get drunk to relieve your worries." After these words came out, Zhang Zhongding, Su Ji and others turned from sadness to joy. "Yuanzi, if you are serious, then it's a deal." Li Yuan nodded, "I'm afraid you can't drink well. The night before last, you swore to the heaven and earth that you would never drink again." Wang Shui laughed, "How can you take a man's oath after drinking seriously? It's just like farting." Li Yuan laughed, "So, the truth after drinking is nonsense." Su Ji shook his head, "You can't say that. It depends on the situation. What I said that night was the truth. I sincerely hope that we can still have such a relationship after going to college." Yang Zhen glared, "Daji, you think too much. We are the starting 5 in class 22, and our relationship will definitely remain the same. If the confession fails, chase her bestie." Author, Ren Shenkui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 10. Li Yuan was silent in his heart. After going to college and working, you are in the south of Nanshan and I am in the north of Bihai. How can we still maintain this kind of relationship? Everyone has their own different circle of friends. As time goes by, old friends from the past will gradually be forgotten. This was the case in the previous life. Li Yuan suggested, "When we return home every New Year, we can get together in a small group and connect with each other." Wang Shui puffed out a smoke ring, then it's settled. In 1 week, the college entrance examination results will come out. I hope you don't have to repeat the exam. The repetition class is too difficult. I asked Lao Wang, how to repeat the senior year of our number 1 middle school. There are 140 or 50 people in each class, it's terrible. Yang Zhen smiled and said, "Let's wait until the results come out." Han Chuang has been studying hard for 12 years and finally has a vacation to relax. Zhang Zhongding said with a bad smile, "Teachers often say that things are tight in high school but loosen up in college. Do you know why?" Wang Shui looked curious, "Is it because studying is easy?" "No, guess again." After lunch, Li Yuan took his ID card, bank card and other documents and prepared to go to various lottery stores. Zhang Cheng, the owner of the lottery shop in front of number 1 middle school, was eager to wait for the results after the results came out. Seeing Li Yuan again, Zhang Cheng's face was full of smiles. He handed over a bottle of Red Bull and said with a flattering smile, "Master, you are finally here. You are so awesome. How did you do it?" He felt regretful in his heart and did not dare to continue buying with Li Yuan, otherwise he would also be the one who got rich today. That's millions, enough for him to work for 10 years. Li Yuan just smiled faintly and didn't want to explain anything. He would probably only use this opportunity to make a fortune this time. Damn, it's just good luck. How should I redeem the prize? Zhang Cheng shook his head and explained, at a lottery store like ours, the single prize redemption limit cannot exceed 50,000. Your prize is already a grand prize. You need to go to the Municipal Sports Lottery Center to redeem your prize. With that said, he showed Li Yuan the relevant rules. Li Yuan really didn't know the specific process. After taking a closer look, he realized that he came to the sports lottery shop in vain. "Boss, go ahead and get busy, I'll go to the city." Seeing that Li Yuan was about to leave, Zhang Cheng quickly stopped him and said anxiously, "Master, do you want to try football?" Li Yuan shook his head, "Sorry, I only know NBA basketball. Zhang Cheng sighed, that's a pity. Seeing Li Yuan leaving, Zhang Cheng beat his chest and regretted it. He calculated that Li Yuan could make millions with this last stroke. I'm such a bastard. I just missed an opportunity to make a fortune. If I could do it all over again, I would definitely bet all my family property. It took more than an hour to get from the county seat to the city. Li Yuan stopped a taxi on the road. Boss, how much does it cost to go to the city? 60, can you leave? That's okay. Li Yuan didn't bargain. Taxis are charged based on mileage. After an uneventful journey to the city, Li Yuan got off the car near the sports lottery center. In order to stay hidden, he walked for more than a mile, put on a mask and a hat, and came to the sports lottery center to claim his prize. The procedure for redeeming prizes was not complicated, and there were not many people in the sports lottery center. When the staff saw the 6 lottery tickets in front of Li Yuan, they were all shocked. Among them, a female staff member looked deeply at Li Yuan, her voice trembling, "Mr. Li, do these 6 sports lottery tickets belong to you?" Li Yuan nodded. "Mr. Li is really lucky. This is a large amount of money. Please wait a moment, Mr. Li. It's okay. Please handle it as soon as possible." After a while, people in the entire city sports lottery center were constantly looking at Li Yuan, talking secretly, and even taking photos secretly. 6 lottery tickets, with a principal amount of 149,400 yuan and odds of 42.5, were accumulated together, and the prize was more than 6.3 million yuan, without tax deduction. This was already a huge sum of money in 2008. After a while, the female staff member handed the bill to Li Yuan. "Mr. Li, you have received a total of 6,349,500 yuan. It will be credited to your bank card before 5:30 this afternoon." Li Yuan took the bill, said thank you, and was about to leave when he heard the female staff member politely ask, "Mr. Li, do you need financial management services? Several banks we have contact with here provide services to large depositors, providing a variety of financial fund products, with annualized interest rates reaching 6 to 8 points. Li Yuan did not refuse bluntly, but smiled and said, "Thank you for reminding me, I will consider it." Of course, he was just saying that his more than 6 million yuan was of great use, and only a fool would hand it over to a bank for financial management. Li Yuan made another symbolic donation of 1,000 yuan. After saying that, he left the sports lottery center and did not go back to his hometown immediately. Instead, he strolled around casually and went to an internet cafe to learn Chinese characters. Until around 5 p.m., there was a text message reminder from China Construction Bank on my phone. Your account 6,213 was transferred to 634,9500 yuan, Municipal Sports Lottery Center, at 17:10 on June 18, 2008. The current balance is 635,0108 yuan. Chapter 10. Give it a try and turn your bicycle into a motorcycle. The bonus has arrived. Looking at the balance of his bank card, Li Yuan thought happily, I am now a real millionaire. The wealth I gained in 10 days of rebirth is greater than what I gained in my previous life for more than 10 years. This is the advantage of being reborn. It's even faster than robbing a bank to get money. In his previous life, even if he enjoyed the blessing of 996 or even 007 every day, plus part-time work, he still lived a hard life. After working hard in Shanghai for more than 4 years, he only saved less than 100,000 yuan, which was the result of his thriftiness. Living in Shanghai is not easy, not only the sky-high rent, but also the daily living expenses, which also cost a lot of money. Add to that the cost of dating and not overdrawing the credit card, which is already good. Li Yuan, with a huge sum of money in his pocket, opened the stock website and looked at the stocks he had heard about in his previous life. Now the daily increase is about 1.2%, and there is already a trend of a big increase. He has decided in his heart that he is ready to invest in it as soon as possible to see the effect. If he really misses this opportunity to make a fortune, it would be a pity. Take a chance, and the bicycle will become a motorcycle. Because buying stocks at this time requires opening an account at the Municipal Securities Center, Li Yuan can only stay with a few Wang Shui and others at night, and pay back the money and treat them tomorrow. If they were not willing to lend him their private money generously, he would have lost millions. This opportunity is too rare. After eating instant noodles and drinking a bottle of Fanta in the internet cafe, Li Yuan continued to type until late at night, and then went to a nearby express hotel to spend the night. On the second day, early in the morning, Li Yuan went to the city securities center to open an account. To open a stock account, you need to be at least 18 years old. He is already over 18 years old, so there is no problem. After opening the account, Li Yuan hesitated whether to invest all his funds in it. Unlike buying sports lottery, that is a certain result, but he cannot be absolutely sure whether the stock he is going to buy is as the associate professor of the college said. If he buys all of them and something unexpected happens in the stock market, then his first pot of gold that he has worked so hard to earn will be gone. But if the stock market really soars 3 or 4 times like in the previous life, if the investment is small, it will also be a huge loss. After hesitating for a long time, Li Yuan still couldn't bear to invest all his funds. Leave 350,000 yuan as a reserve fund, return 12,000 yuan to classmates, and keep the rest. As for the stock market, buy 6 million yuan first. Even if you lose all of it, you will have 350,000 yuan in reserve funds, plus the income from writing novels in the future. You can buy a house in Shanghai and live a good life. You can make a comeback. Immediately, Li Yuan directly bought 6 million yuan of Salt Lake shares. At this time, the stock price per share was only about 4.1 yuan. He bought more than 1.46 million shares. If it is true as the associate professor in the previous life said, he can make tens of millions in more than a month. Li Yuan deliberately observed for a period of time and found that it did not cause fluctuations. This market is very large, at the level of tens of billions, and a few million is just a drizzle in it. Coming to the Nike store in the city, Li Yuan carefully picked a pair of basketball shoes, and finally took a fancy to Kobe's Mamba series, priced at 998 yuan per share, because it was just launched, there was no discount. This is the gift he prepared for Wang Shui, Suji, Yang Zhen, Zhang Zhongding, and Song Dongming. If you lend money with interest, the nature of the gift changes, but giving a gift worth 1,000 yuan is still acceptable. They are all basketball fans and often play together, so it is more appropriate to give them basketball shoes. Li Yuan said generously, "Beauty, I want 6 pairs of Kobe 4, 3 pairs of size 43, 2 pairs of size 44, and 1 pair of size 42. When the salesperson heard Li Yuan speak, her eyes were full of astonishment. She had never seen a customer who bought 6 pairs of identical basketball shoes at one time. 6 pairs of Nike basketball shoes, adding up to 6,000 yuan, are already a lot in this era. Her monthly salary is only 2,000 yuan. Handsome, these 6 pairs of basketball shoes are packed for you, a total of 5,988 yuan. Can I pay with a bank card? Handsome, yes, if you buy a gift worth 5,988 yuan, you can enjoy our store's discount activity, 100 yuan off for every 1,000 yuan spent, and 600 yuan off for every 6,000 yuan spent. This discount activity is equivalent to a 10% discount on consumption. Okay, then help me get another pair of socks. Li Yuan casually took a pair of sports socks priced at 12 yuan, making up 6,000 yuan, plus the discount, a total of 5,400 yuan was spent. Li Yuan carried a large and small bag, called a taxi directly from the door, and returned to his hometown county. Back in the rental house, Li Yuan called Wang Shui and other classmates, and took cash from the bank. He was not a person who liked to borrow money, so he paid the money back first. After a while, Wang Shui rode a mountain bike racing car to the school gate. When he saw the several pairs of basketball shoes Li Yuan was carrying, he asked in shock, "Yuanzi, sure, Nike basketball shoes must cost thousands of dollars. But why did you buy so many?" Li Yuan smiled and handed a pair of size 42 basketball shoes to Wang Shui. "Here, Kobe 4, just launched, for you." Wang Shui didn't take it. He knew that this pair of basketball shoes was worth thousands of dollars. He looked at Li Yuan seriously. "Yuanzi, this pair of shoes is not cheap. You should keep it for yourself." Li Yuan took out an envelope from his arms and handed it to him. "This is 2,000 yuan. I borrowed it from you a few days ago. I don't need it now. If you don't want to keep this pair of shoes, just throw it in the trash can." Wang Shui took the envelope, looked at the basketball shoes thrown on the ground by Li Yuan, and quickly picked them up.